In this video, we're going to be testing the claim about a proportion, and we're going to be using the critical regions method to do it. This here is the formula for the test statistic, but we're going to be using a calculator, so we don't really need it. But if you want to do it by hand, this is what you would use, and that's what each part of the formula means off here on the right. So let's look at an example. A survey showed that among 785 randomly selected subjects who completed 4 years of college, 18.3% smoke and 81.7% do not smoke. We're going to be using a 0.01 significance level to test the claim that the rate of smoking among those with 4 years of college is less than 27% rate for the general population. So we know that our significance level is 0.01, and we are testing the claim that the rate of smoking among those with 4 years of college is less than 27%. So let's start off by writing out our hypothesis test. So the null hypothesis, and since we're dealing with proportion, it's going to be P. So P is going to be equal to the 27%, so 0.27. And the alternative, since it says less than 27%, is going to say less than 0.27. We also have an alpha value of 0.01. And from here, we're going to find our critical value. So we need to look into our table of alpha being 0.01. So I'm going to do that. And I'm going to find the closest to 0.01. And that's going to be here. 0.0099 is the closest to 0.01. So negative 2.33 is our critical value. So, critical value, z equals, and since it's left-tailed, it's negative 2.33. We can also use the calculator if we want to find the critical value. All we would have to do is go in and go to second vars, inverse norm, and type in 0.01 for the area, leave everything else alone. And here we get negative 2.33. Because it's left-tailed, we want to stay negative. If it had been right-tailed, we make it positive, but that's not the point of this one. It's a left-tailed test. So now we can start picking out what we know from the question. And all we know is how many randomly selected subjects we have. We know that n equals 785, but we need to know what x is. It doesn't tell us. All it tells us is that we have the percentage of people that smoke is 18.3. So what we have to do is we have to do 785 times that percentage, so 0.183, which is going to end up giving us, when we get the number, it's going to be a decimal, but we're going to round it up to 144. And our P naught value is 0.27. So we have all this information, and now we can go into our calculator and type it into our one prop z-test. So bring up our calculator, and we're going to go to stat test and number 5, one prop z-test, and our p-value is going to be 0.27, and x is going to be 144, but let's say you didn't do the arithmetic, but you just know it's 785 times 18.3%. We can just do 785 times 0.183. And we're going to get 143.6, which is not possible. You cannot have a decimal in here, so we would just go in and round this up to 144. And then n is 785. And the alternative is less than from what we have back at the beginning. So I'm going to calculate, and we're going to get this. And since we're doing the critical regions, we need our z-score, our test stat. So our t-stat is going to be z equals negative, let's see here, negative 5.46. So negative 5.46. And just for the sake of it, since it's here, Our p-value is 2.3, but if you look over here, we have e to the -8th. That means the decimal is going to move over 8 spots to the left, so we can essentially say that p here is 0. But that's not the point of this one. We're using the critical value, so we need our z's from critical value and t-stat. So now that we have everything we need, we're going to see whether we're going to reject or fail to reject. So, get our little picture going, and 0's in the middle as always. And our critical value is -2.33, which is going to be somewhere here, I'll say. -2.33. And we need it shaded to the left because it is less than. So, like so. Now our test stat is -5.46, and that is definitely going to be somewhere in the rejection region over here, easily. Since it's in the rejection region, so we reject the null hypothesis. So now that we know we're rejecting it, we still need to state our answer in a sentence or so. So test the claim that the rate of smoking among those with 4 years of college is less than 27%. Zoom out so we can type it in. Since we are rejecting it, we have enough information, so we can say that there is sufficient evidence to support the claim that the rate of smoking among those with 4 years of college is less than 27% rate for the general population. So our claim is saying that the rate of smoking is less than 27% for the general population. Since we reject the null hypothesis, we are saying that there is enough evidence to support that claim.